What was that who flew through the skies? Was that a bird? Or was it a plane? Or a flying saucer? No, it is a giant turtle flying through the air. And his name is Gamera, and he is known as the friend of children. And also, he is the guardian of the universe. I know what you're thinking. Who's Gamera? Where does his story begin? Well, it's a 50-year history from 1965 to 2015, and we are celebrating his 50th birthday, and I'm proud to be his biggest fan, and happy to tell his story. It all started in the 1960s when Godzilla was taking Japan by storm, and giant monsters were all the rage in Japan. It was a golden age for giant monsters. The Godzilla movies were a huge success, and there was no monsters that could top Godzilla's success. And that's where Gamera comes in. A movie studio called Dai was having problems getting a monster movie about giant rats off the ground, which led to its cancellation. And that's where Gamera's story begins. A man from Dai named Masajichi Nagata was on a plane heading to Japan when he had an illusion. He saw something flying in the sky outside his plane window. He saw a flying turtle. And that's when he came up with the perfect idea for a monster movie. Monster Gamera is a giant turtle, Fort Masaji. A giant turtle revived by an atomic bomb blast. And that's not all. Gamera can breathe fire and can fly with jet propulsion. Masaichi Nagata couldn't bring Gamera to the big screen by himself. Like all good monster movies, it requires skill, teamwork, and creativity. So he teamed up with Noriaki Yuasa, the director, Nissan Takahashi, the screenwriter, and Akira Inoue, the special effects artist, to bring the giant turtle to life. Masayagi would design the costume of Gamera, and Haru Sekitani would be in charge of the performance and special effects. And so, Gamera was slowly coming to life. Dai was positive that they had a hit on their hands, and Gamera was ready to be unleashed onto Japan. Gamera was released on November the 27th of 1965, and it was a huge hit. And Gamera won the hearts of children and adults everywhere in Japan. And in 1966, it was released in the United States as Gamera the Invincible. Gamera became a sensation, and there was no stopping Gamera. And that's when a Gamera sequel was a reality. Gamera was introduced to other monsters like Borogon, the quick freeze lizard, and his more popular foe, Gauss, the supersonic vampire bat. And then others joined to challenge Gamera, like the knife-faced monster Guiron, and Jiger, and the deep-sea monster Zigra. Over 8 Gamera films were made from 1965, which was Gamera, the giant monster, and 1966, Gamera vs. Borogon, and in 1967, Gamera vs. Gauss, and in 1968, Gamera vs. Virus, and in 1969, we had Gamera vs. Guiron, and in 1970, Gamera vs. Jiger, and then, in 1971, we had Gamera vs. Zigra, and then the series ended in 1980 with Gamera the Super Monster. And then, in the 1990s, Shizuke Kaneko would revive the Gamera for a whole new generation, and would take the awesomeness of Gamera to a whole new level with his epic trilogy, the Gamera series, and placed Gamera alongside Godzilla as an awesome and kick-ass movie monster. And the trilogy not only brought Gauss back to fight our beloved turtle, but introduced 2 deadlier monsters like Legion and Iris. The 1990s Gamera trilogy has been hailed as one of the best monster movies since the 1954 Godzilla. And even kaiju fans loved the 1990s Gamera trilogy, and even said the three films are better than most of the Heisei Godzilla films released at the time. And that's saying a lot. Shizuka Kaneko really did Gamera justice, and he should be proud of his fantastic films. He really made Gamera an awesome force of nature that should not be messed with. So remember this important lesson. Don't mess with Gamera. You will lose. Then, Gamera returned in 2006 in Gamera the Brave. So that brings a total of 12 Gamera films. Okay, Gamera may not have a rich film history as Godzilla, but still, 12 films is very impressive. So, what does the future hold for Gamera? Don't worry, there will be more Gamera films in the future, because Gamera will always return to amaze and thrill audiences for years to come. Now, let me tell my story of how I met Gamera, and how Gamera captured my heart. I was introduced to Gamera when I saw a video with a giant turtle on a cover that said, Gamera. I wondered, who's Gamera? I was a huge fan of Japanese monster movies like Godzilla and such, so I knew I had to see this. And just like every movie that has either monsters or dinosaurs, I had to drop to my knees and begging Mum or Dad to buy it for me. And sometimes my persistence pays off. I could not wait to see who this Gamera is, so I popped in the VHS, and away we went. And when Gamera appeared in front of my eyes, I was blown away. That Gamera was a turtle that not only breathes fire, but he can also fly. And just like every kid who grew up watching monster movies, we love it when monsters cause destruction. And when Gamera went crazy and started tearing down Tokyo, I was amazed at Gamera's capability to cause destruction. After the movie ended, I fell in love with Gamera, and I wanted to see more giant turtle action. We'll continue this in part 2.